everybody, welcome to Nature's People. Well, today we are going to talk about the main difference between serotonin and dopamine. You guys might have heard that when you consume a lot of content or you do a lot of exciting things and very pleasure-seeking activities, you often have the tendency of downgrading or sort of overexciting your dopamine receptors in the brain. So now what I want to say is most times when we are studying the brain, we are very specific to what type of receptors are excited depending on any neuroexcitatory substance that is introduced inside the brain. So now, talking about it being more specific, I'd like to mention and specify what is it that differentiates dopamine from serotonin. So first and foremost, dopamine has a very excitation, happiness and fulfilling effect in the receptors that have to do with your physical and your actual part of existence. Say for instance, when you like to play sports and then you feel good about scoring a goal, that's a more physical part of you. When you look for pleasure-seeking activities such as I don't know, like smoking or substance abuse, the part of the brain that really regulates the amount of neurotransmitters that are rewarding is very present and is really intrinsically related to the persona, to the individual. And whereas serotonin is quite different. Serotonin works in a very intrinsic and very mysterious way inside the brain. So generally when brain biopsies or fMRIs, which are literally translate for functional magnetic resonance imaging inside the brain, there's the tendency for neurons to fire in very different places of the brain, which means serotonin is actually not it's not a really well understood neurotransmitter. It's very mysterious the way it acts, and one study shows that actually serotonin is a sort of backup system of the pleasure seeking of the brain. So basically I'll give basic examples to be more precise and specific, because most times when someone is explaining about these neurotransmitters, serotonin and dopamine, someone would think, okay, dopamine is a neurotransmitter, so how do I know this is dopamine? How do I know this is serotonin? All right. Let's take dopamine. Let's say you're really hungry or you're really thirsty, and then you go forage for food, or you're driving out in the highway, you see a McDonald's fast food restaurant nearby, you're like, oh, I've got to stop. You stop, and as you approach, you feel the smells, you feel the flavors, you feel all the aroma of the environment, and then your brain starting to secrete all these enzymes in your mouth. So that's a dopamine thing. The moment you're able to put that food in your mouth, the brain just poof, explodes the neurotransmitter and says, give me more, this is just amazing, this is the best thing ever, this is good. So dopamine is more of a physical needs, like hunger, like thirst, like many things that are mostly physical. Now serotonin, it's more different. Think of a time where you're taking classes for a specific subject, and then in the end of the year or semester you actually had to take the exam, and then you work really hard, and then once you're able to sit for that exam, you pass the exam, and then you get a good score. Do you know how you feel? Do you remember how you feel? It's completely different than how you feel when you eat food, or completely different how you eat when you you smoke a cigarette, because the way serotonin is wired inside the brain is so much so that the brain is very specific and very secretive when it's to release these hormones and neurotransmitters. So it makes you go through the process, generally lengthy process, and then once it's achieved, it's just the best feeling ever. So to be more specific and differentiate in a very summarized manner, dopamine is a short, easily achieved and short-lived neurotransmitter. Serotonin is a hard to achieve and long-lasting neurotransmitter. Dopamine has to do with physical feelings. Serotonin has to be with emotional. And finally, last but not least, dopamine is easily achievable, easily accessed, exploited, and downgraded. However, serotonin always has that secret path that if you want something, you've got to work for it. Thank you guys. Hope to see you in the next one. Stay tuned, like, share, and subscribe. Let's grow the channel. Nature's people, better videos are coming. Bye.